Monty, nice of me to be joined by you with the best backdrop in college baseball currently. I'm in
Oh,
probably. I think I would like to argue I'm in the top five backdrops here in beautiful Greenville, South Carolina. But you obviously are showing off to the rest of the world. Monty, how are you before we jump into these games?
it's I'm tired but happy. It's been a great day. Obviously, once we get into the games, we're going to realize, they weren't the best games competitively, but they were a lot of great moments in those games. But yeah, it's been another great day at the ACC tournament. We got to talk some ball with some guys, and it's pretty good.
That's
How are
the,
you?
that's the wrong answer. You're supposed to say, I really miss you not being there. It was so much more fun yesterday with your presence around.
Wait, were you not here?
You're right. Yeah. Oops. No, Monty, I got to experience a 19-14 game today. Talk about SoCon mid-major
Is that the
baseball.
Mercer VMI game?
It was.
Man, they had the D1 score had it so behind then because it was like 5-2 or something last I saw.
Yeah, it was bad. But no, I'm good. I'm tired too. Definitely feeling it a little bit. It's been an interesting day to say the least, from a personal standpoint too. But it's I'm excited. So let's just jump right into it. Game one, Monty. First off, all three games. I mean, you were there. Would you say that the three games today would be power rank? If we power ranked the six games played so far in Charlotte, are we looking at 4, 5, and 6 today?
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
that's what
Two
I
run,
think.
two run rules and then a pretty dominant Wake Forest victory.
Yeah,
So
I'm going to be honest, Monty. I'm going to be box score diving when we get to NC State and Virginia Tech because I maybe watched a lick of that game. After NC State kind of jumped out to the big lead, early lead, I was kind of just like, I'm done with this. I'll let Twitter show me what I need to see. But obviously, Virginia in game one, 13-0 win over Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech fans, I'm sorry. I picked you to win. This was all my fault. Every time I pick you, things go south. I don't think any of us expected this to go that south. Um, I mean, Aiden Finateri doesn't even go a full two. Gets pretty not banged up, but hit around, obviously. And, I guess where do we want to go with this, Monty? You want to talk Virginia or do we want to talk Georgia Tech real quick?
let's go positive first. I think that's probably the best call.
So you're looking at the 2024 national champion Virginia Cavaliers. Monty,
That's
we're on that end of the spectrum now of the Virginia fandom for
that's
me.
outrageous.
But no, on a more serious note, I mean, talk about a performance. Evan Blanco, Evan Blanco, what this is. I'm sorry, Jake, running the sorry Tech fans as a quote on the bottom, like breaking news is fantastic. But
I didn't even notice it. It's also not specifying which Tech.
I know
Both works.
it both works. But anyways, Evan Blanco was incredible. This was the Evan Blanco that we've kind of been wanting to see all year. I mean, we've seen glimpses of it, but this was, I mean, he made this Georgia Tech lineup look like it was a high school team for stretches of the game. I mean, Monty, talk about what you saw because you were there in person. I mean, I watched it on TV and I enjoyed it, but I'm sure it was even more spectacle in person.
Oh yeah, no extra base hits. He had a little bit of traffic in the early innings, but they never threatened at all. No one really got beyond second base, and it was just cruise control. He only threw 80 pitches. He could have easily come out in the seventh, but Oak wanted to try and get Matt Augustine some experience in this kind of a situation because they might need him down the line in a postseason, and they wanted to try and give him that kind of experience. He said that in the press conference, and so Evan Blanco
was good too.
Yeah, 3 up, 3 down, and Evan Blanco, fantastic. Obviously, the player of the game. I was a little surprised that he wasn't brought up for the interview, but he was probably also then taken to the TV. So who knows how they divide that up? But yeah. I saw him walking around a couple hours later around the stadium, with a couple of guys, and he obviously is looking good, feeling good, and it's great to see him. I mean, even when he's not at his best, he pitches well enough for this offense to win, and he's been that consistent guy all year.
Yeah, I think it was great too to see some guys for Virginia that haven't necessarily been, as of late, the offensive power with obviously we saw Godbout hit a home run. That was great. Selke's obviously been hot recently, but just to kind of see that continue. Bobby Whalen just short of a home run that doubled off the wall. Griff obviously had a fantastic offensive day as well. I mean, this was as complete a performance as ever. Monty, I don't know if you saw that, but that was the largest run rule with a shutout in ACC tournament history, or largest margin of victory with the shutout in ACC tournament history, which was obviously incredibly impressive. Wasn't the most runs we saw in the ACC tournament today, but it was.
And it was the second year in a row they've run ruled Georgia Tech in the ACC tournament. By the way, Henry Godbout, we talked about his home run. He's 16 for 37 over the last 10 plus games. That's 432. So he's gotten hot again after coming back from that injury and had a little slow start coming back. So that's really good news for Virginia. But that whole lineup 1 through 9 is just unbelievable.
Yeah. Do you think any of the unexpected strategy affected Georgia Tech at all? Because obviously a lot of people expected Virginia to kind of trot out potentially. Again, I had said yesterday I thought the move would have been Owen Cody and a bullpen game from there because it didn't matter for ACC tournament purposes. And of course they throw what is deemed the ace, because he has been the ace all year. I still have a lot of faith that Savino can be a justifiable, ace as well for Virginia, but he's still not completely stretched out. But what do we take away from Georgia Tech's performance? Because they played themselves onto the bubble.
Yeah, I still think they're going to ultimately be okay, but they're going to have an uncomfortable week. I think their resume is impressive. They won 6 ACC series. They did a lot of damage. It's just a matter of now waiting, but that was not the performance I was expecting from them. But to me, I think it said more about Virginia just coming out with the right game plan, ready to attack. But I don't think it mattered, the strategy on the Virginia side in terms of Georgia Tech. I think Blanco just made massive adjustments from the first meeting about a month ago, and was able to deliver a much better performance.
Yeah, I think what's concerning, is now the RPI has fallen behind Charleston, which is a team that you kind of can make things obviously a little concerning from a CAA standpoint. We did see Texas get eliminated today in the Big 12 tournament. Their RPI is above Georgia Tech, but there could be some conversations there about those two teams. If you're going to put Texas in for a similar tournament response, or tournament performance, then maybe you got to talk about the same thing for Georgia Tech. But obviously difficult, frustrating. I mean, the pitching in Charlotte this week or last 2 days, obviously for Georgia Tech, just wasn't there.
Nope.
Was not there. But we'll move on. Obviously, I was wrong. Wake Forest fans have been reminding me all day. I'm done picking upsets, because if I pick an upset and I'm wrong, it's like the biggest deal in the world to people, which that makes me feel appreciated. People want to take time out of the day to tell me I don't know ball.
On the other hand, think about the traction you're getting for the page. I mean, we appreciate the interactions.
Outlandish things. I'll pull a Jake McKeever or something.
Well, don't do that on purpose. I think still go with what you know. But I think it's great that people are in the conversation. And here's the thing: we're going to be wrong. I mean, wouldn't you rather us actually try to make some fun predictions rather than just try to play neutral all the time? It'd be a pretty boring show if we did, right?
And I think Jake put on the screen I was wrong on Wake Forest. I wouldn't even say I was wrong on Wake Forest. I think I was wrong about Pitt, and that wasn't necessarily. I'm not trying to slander Pitt, but I just thought that there was going to be a little bit more from them. And I could have called the wrong upset. Maybe North Carolina is the team they upset. I don't know.
Well, here's the thing, Micah. You also expected Jack Sokol or Ryan Andrade to start.
That's true.
And instead they went Aiden Coleman, which was a big surprise for me. I was just stunned when because I think Ryan Andrade was on full rest at this point because he pitched Thursday. This is Wednesday, so it'd be this not quite full rest, but the same as going to a Friday to Thursday kind of deal.
Yeah, I'm not gonna quote who this person was because I don't want to get them in any potential trouble. But someone that has some connection to the Pitt baseball program, I will not say who, DM'd me and simply said, "What the F is he doing? He might have to go," because he was so upset about the decision to not throw. Because this is all Pitt had left. You had 2 games to potentially extend your season. You have no hope of an at-large. And it's just like, here's the white flag. Here you go. Let me wave that for you.
And they were able to get traffic on the base pass. They just weren't able to get runners across once they did that.
And again, like I will say, it wasn't the worst performance from Pitt, but I don't think you made the right decision. I mean, yeah, Josh, like I 100% agree. Like missed opportunities with the fact, like again, the advantage that I gave Pitt was they're going with a starter I trust versus the bullpen game of Wake. And honestly, they did similar to what I said, right? It's like Pitt's probably going to score. Like it's going to be a low scoring 3-2 game. Pitt will have chances. They didn't take advantage of them in this situation. But again, if they get the right pitching, they probably have a chance down the stretch where this game was out of hand quick. Obviously, both Reinish and Merrick Houston hit home runs early. It's 5-0 before you know it. And, shout out to obviously Cameron Gill as well, went yard. But, I mean, good for Wake Forest, right? Like, I think Wake Forest should definitely be talked about as a regional host still. I mean, everything is in front of them. And Monty, I really, really want to come over there on Friday because it is going to be electric.
So I didn't get a chance to go to the press conference for that game. But I obviously plenty of people did. So shout out to Connor O'Neill, who covers both Wake Forest and Duke. Mm-hmm. He had a good tweet, a quote tweet from it. And I think it was something along the lines of Walt saying that he thinks Chase Burns has had this circle on the calendar for a while in terms of a revenge game against UNC, because UNC is the only team that really was able to kind of tag him because they hit 4 home runs off him at the couch. So it's a big game for Wake Forest and UNC. So exactly what Wake Forest wanted is now coming to fruition.
Yeah, and I thought it was interesting because people were saying when I said that because people were like, oh, Micah doesn't believe in Wake. And then everyone was like, and I said, no, I picked them to beat UNC. Everyone said the reason I was picking that was because UNC is not going to try. No, I just genuinely think that Wake Forest is going to be up for UNC. And there's no reason why they're not going to be now.
Yeah, just to be clear, the quotes should be a present tense because Chase Burns does not pitch till Friday, Jake. That he did not pitch today.
Good old Jake. He's just being grammatically incorrect as always. But for those of you that don't know, Jake is transcribing this live for us to give us an added touch that is kind of funny but also kind of cool. But yeah, it wasn't the quote, Jake. It's okay. But anyways, let's move on, Monty. We don't want to harp too much on Pitt, and obviously well done to Wake Forest. We'll get to some more information on them as we go throughout the tournament. Last game of the night, NC State 19, Virginia Tech 9. Monty, I am still feeling very confident on my pick of NC State winning this tournament. I think you might have a de facto championship game tomorrow night with this Duke and NC State game.
Yeah, it's gonna be really interesting. Here's the thing I love about the NC State team is they can do what they did tonight, and they can deliver an offensive explosion. However, they can also kind of just go for a goose egg. Now, they haven't done that in a while, so that's probably not as likely. But it's going to be a really interesting matchup. Sam Highfill is confirmed. Obviously, that's not a surprise. They were able to save all their bullets tonight, all their big bullets. So it'll be Sam Highfill. I imagine Duke's probably going to go with Andrew Healy to start because Healy typically doesn't come out of the bullpen, whereas Kyle Johnson has before. So you'll see those two guys. I don't imagine Healy will be able to go very often. He's only been able to go 2 innings last 2 starts. So he's still being stretched out from that injury that he had. So, but Kyle Johnson is capable of going 6 innings or more because he's fully stretched out as a starter. It's just a matter of effectiveness. But NC State was amazing tonight. Garrett Pennington, you guys know he was one of my original all Monty team guys back in October. He had 3 doubles tonight. He actually had a chance at a 4th. He kind of forced that one because he hit it to the wall, but it was fielded very quickly, and he got thrown out trying to get a 4th double. He is now the ACC leader in doubles. He passed Gavin Keelan who has 22. Garrett Pennington now has 23. really big night for him. But on the other side, tough break for Virginia Tech. Renfro, not his best. It was just more of the same. McCann did have another big home run tonight as he played catcher for the first time I'd seen him in a while play catcher. And then shout out to Ben Watson, right? Obviously, he didn't really get to enjoy that moment tonight. He even said in the press conference, like in a week or two when things settle down, he has a chance to reflect. It's going to mean a lot more. But the fact they didn't win tonight is the main concern there. So.
Yeah, I think, we'll harp on, or we'll talk about Virginia Tech here in a second. But I think what I was most impressed with NC State was they had 3 home runs, only drove in 5 runs on those 3 home runs, and they scored 19 runs. So that tells
Doubles.
you this team is just putting the ball in play, which is, I would say, more dangerous than being able to just hit home runs because, again, sometimes home run ball, sometimes those balls just don't get out. So
did we only have 11 or 12 home runs today, I think, after 17 yesterday?
Yeah, I think so. That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard about the first home run for Virginia, but the broadcasters were talking about this game might be a low-scoring game. We might not have that many home runs, and then Didowick just goes, yeah.
Well, they seem to forget that UVA led the ACC in home runs, and Disharoon Park is a pitcher-friendly park. And unfortunately, they didn't get the StatCast on Didowick's home run because it was too low and too fast for it to get picked up by the tracker. That's
kind of funny. But obviously for Virginia Tech, very tough way to end the season. I hate that for those guys. Obviously I tweeted out. I'm glad that Garrett Ebel got to kind of have a pretty nice night to kind of end his collegiate career because he was so much fun to watch, especially down the stretch. And same thing.
Ebel Knievel.
Yep, and Ben Watson as well. I mean, this team's obviously not going to the NCAA tournament, and to be honest, they don't deserve it based on how the season ended.
Right.
But I would have loved to have seen them in there if they would have gotten a chance.
I think they were a tournament caliber team, but they do not, based on the resume in the last 6 weeks, they don't deserve it. And it's just unfortunate because I think it became mental at a certain point where you go on that kind of losing streak and it's very, very difficult to get out of that. And, I think Garrett Michelle, if he's healthy, I don't think that happens. And, unfortunately, that's the way it goes. But Virginia Tech's still a very talented team. I think they were a tournament caliber team, but unfortunately, that's the way baseball goes. And shout out George Ebel. He's in the comments. But we're gonna miss watching Gary Ebel out there. He's a catcher by trade, but I would not have been able to tell that he was not a natural first baseman. Watching him tonight because Carson DiMartini very nearly sailed one into there and Ebel had some hops. I was very impressed with how high he was able to jump because that's not something he typically has to do as a catcher.
And one thing I really appreciated about that team was they didn't quit. They never once quit. Even last night when things were going south, they still continued to battle. You could hear it in the dugout. Obviously, I wasn't there today, but you kind of see it in the box score, right? It's 19-7 in the bottom of the 8th, and they drive in 2 from Watson's double. And obviously, that's the end of the ball game. But, they continued to fight. They never gave up on each other. There was definitely something. I'm getting chills just kind of talking about it. I noticed a brotherhood with that team, and that's what makes it even harder because, again, I'm a Virginia fan. They're a rival. Throw the rivalry out for a minute. They were a very fun team to watch, and there was something special about them. But unfortunately, for some reason, it just didn't work down the stretch. And
I'll tell you right now, Ben Watson got emotional when we were asking about the hits thing because obviously him being the all-time hits leader, it didn't matter to him at this moment because of the loss. Because he's really upset about the fact this is the last time that this group of players is going to get to play together. And that's something to think about, as their season ends. It's an unfortunate thing. And again, I really like this Virginia Tech team. You can go back and watch the tapes early on in the season. My hot take this year was that they were going to make the NCAA tournament. So, and I love that you pointed out they kept fighting to the end, even though you could see they did not know exactly how to fix what was going on. They tried and they fought. And unfortunately, this is the way it goes.
Yeah. There's always some teams that I always look back when you grow up, right? You're like, I remember this team, and no one else remembers them because they really weren't that special. Obviously, I'm an adult now. I think I'm going to remember this Virginia Tech team for a long time. They're going to be one of those teams that maybe many folks won't ever talk about, but I'll always just kind of remember again just seeing them. I saw them every month this year. Every single month, I saw them at least once, and nothing changed in terms of their demeanor, in terms of their approach, in terms of their brotherhood. So that was obviously, again, tough way to see the season end. But Virginia Tech, thank you for the fun season of covering you.
Only one ACC team beat North Carolina at home this year.
Yeah.
Virginia Tech.
Shout out to the Hokies.
Yep.
But all right, that wraps up obviously the day that was. I see we hop into obviously previewing tomorrow. Tomorrow is massive. We've got a de facto. We got what, 2 de facto championship games? No, 2. Yeah, because the Pitt North Carolina game is not.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's obviously a fantastic slate of days of games, Monty. Again, I'm very jealous that you will be there. So let's jump right into it. Clemson and Miami at 11 a.m. It's going to be Gage Zeal versus, I'm guessing, Aiden Connect.
I wouldn't think so. Not on short. I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be Ethan Darden.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Or this could be a situation where Matthew Marshall, who was a starter but isn't a starter, maybe you look at him. But I mean, Monty, is it crazy to believe in Miami?
No, I don't think it is at all. At the moment that they won that game, I'm like, and they didn't pitch Gage Zeal. I think they are very dangerous. Now, I don't want anyone to think I hate Clemson, which seems to be something that's occurred. I just bought a Clemson.
I already know they know I hate Clemson, so it's fine.
I just bought a Clemson shirt today.
Monty, we'll have to talk about after the podcast how much your bank account is hurting after today.
It's hurting, but that Clemson baseball team, I don't hate them. The way this is set up for Miami with the magic they're capable of producing behind Gage Zeal. Now, I know they've let Gage Zeal down a lot this year behind him. I could see him going a complete game, no earned runs given up, and still lose 2-0. But it's going to be a really interesting game. I think Gage Zeal, and he pitched very well. I don't remember the numbers, but obviously you were there when he pitched against Clemson the first time around, and that was the walk-off. Was it Jack Scanlon with the walk-off in that game? He could do it again, and the way Clemson's been playing lately, it seems set up for it. And I will, again, I don't think it's crazy to bet on Miami, and they're 4-1 now in the last 2 years in the ACC tournament.
Yeah. Remember the last team that beat them?
I do. I was there at Clemson. Yeah. Caden Grice.
Obviously we'll do a quick preview at the end. Pick at the end of this.
I'm going to get real mad because I'm getting misquoted all over the place here.
First he quoted that as me, which was really fun. I didn't say any of that. But no, we'll move on. Pitt, North Carolina.
Somebody said Greg Zeal. Who said Greg Zeal? Was it me? Did I accidentally say Greg Zeal?
I feel like you didn't, but
either way, it is Gage Zeal. I apologize if I said his name incorrectly.
It's okay, Monty. We'll forgive you.
It's been a long day.
Yeah, Pitt, North Carolina, obviously.
Oh, it was Jake that put Greg Zeal in the freaking thing. It wasn't me.
Is there any chance of Pitt winning this game? Because, obviously I don't think North Carolina is going to take it super seriously, but also I think that Forbes is going to treat it kind of similar to what Virginia did today, where it's like, we're going to go out and play. It doesn't matter. Yeah, we're not talking you, and he's okay. We're just going to ignore Jake right now. But do you feel like Pitt has a legitimate chance tomorrow?
Because guess what? One of those two guys that we wanted to see.
That's true. They have to pitch, yeah.
Is going to pitch.
Might probably be both of them, honestly. You're probably just going to just let them both go. Like, it'll go Sokol to Andrade to
I believe they're both seniors, so why not? They're going
to Phil Fox is too. So let them go to Phil Fox, and man. You know what? I might, Monty, do I pick Pitt back to back on the graphic?
I don't know.
Oh man, again, I don't know if it's worth it, Monty.
Because again, remember how good this UNC offense is.
I know. And I used the same excuse through Pitt yesterday, and then they threw a curveball or today, and they threw a curveball.
And UNC is still going to want to have that momentum going into the.
They've locked up a national seed at this point with like Kentucky losing and.
Well, we'll get to the picks in a little bit, but yeah, no, both I pick back to.
Who's North Carolina going to go with, you think?
Well, they can go on normal rest with DeCaro.
But do you not want to save him to go against Burns?
Shea Sprague, DeCaro, I think are pretty
even.
Yeah,
That's fair.
I think
That's fair. That makes
yeah.
sense. That makes sense if you're Forbes.
Yeah, I think they're safe either way. They could save him, but I mean, he's also 18-year-old freshman. Get him the work in on normal rest. He just turned 18. That's why I brought that up, because he was 17 until like mid-April.
It's nuts. That's so nuts. All right, last game, biggest game, especially for you, Monty. Really for both of us. It's our champions. Our bracket champions are going head-to-head tomorrow, and one season is over.
And you're going to have
– not over, sorry.
You're going to have –
is over. Their tournament is over.
You're going to have a packed house.
I believe.
There was a ton of NC State.
Pun intended?
Yeah. It is going to be – I would expect majority NC State fans, of course, but there are going to be some Duke fans in the crowd, but it is going to be majority NC State. But I think they got up to over 4,500 tonight for this game. I think there'll be over 6 tomorrow, because this will be the game I think they're going for. And again, we've talked about this. Their last 4 meetings have been really tight. The last year's ACC game was a classic. I even asked Elliot Avent, like he's like, yeah, they're going to come with their guys, and they've got one of the best bullpens in the country, and we're going to try and match them, and it's going to be a showdown. So,
is Santucci going? No, he's not back.
No,
yet.
so everybody's on. So everybody's on the table, but Santucci.
Okay, so they haven't announced anybody. Do you think it's going to be Kyle Johnson then?
No, I think it's going to be Andrew Healy, because Kyle Johnson has more capability of coming out of the bullpen.
That's fair. So Healy versus Highfield?
Yes, but I imagine Healy won't go super deep. I wouldn't be surprised to see him only go 2 innings, 3 at most, because he's still coming back.
It'll be the Duke that we saw last year that got to a super regional, like that type of setup.
Somewhat,
2-3 innings and kind of just
I wouldn't be surprised if they go if they go 3 pitchers with if everything goes right. It could be Healy, Johnson, Bielenson.
I forgot that Bielenson has to throw. It's the rule.
Yeah. By the way, I spoke to him today. His arm feels fine. I told him he cannot I told him he was watching the game. I said, you can't transfer to one of these 2 teams mid-game and pitch for him. Okay. So, but his arm's feeling great. I'm questioning if he even knows, like, if he ever even has feeling there. He just it's just pure rubber at this point. So, but yeah, I would expect him to pitch tomorrow in some capacity, regardless of what he did the other day.
Yeah, I kind of want to make a meme, Monty. That's I just put Bielenson's face over SpongeBob, where he's got like the inflatable jacked up arm, But no, that's gonna be such a fun.
And the way both bats were going so far already this week, like.
Yeah, and the worst part is, Monty, is I don't even know if I can watch a lot of this one live, because that's the ETSU game time.
I'm so excited because the atmosphere is going to make it extra fun as well. So.
I know. I'm so jealous.
Jake,
feel free to make that meme for me. I'm all for it. All right,
do you think Jake knows there's a private chat between all of us that he can use, or do you know?
It's overrated.
Yeah, whatever. Go ahead.
Let's do picks. Clemson, Miami. What are you rolling with?
I'm going to go with Miami. And you know what? I'm going to take – I mean, Cole might fight me at this point, because he already accused me of hating Clemson the other week. And I said, I don't hate Clemson. I love Clemson, but I'm not doing a good job of proving that. So, but, oh, well, I'm going to go with Greg Zeal.
Monty,
Greg
I
Zeal.
know this is not fair, because again, it just plays into the Micah hates Clemson. But you know how selfishly I want nothing more than Miami to win tomorrow, and then Louisville to beat Clemson on Friday. And for me to be like, yeah, I'm sorry that I was wrong about who won the pool. I just forgot who was going to win. I just got the wrong pick on Miami, Louisville. My fault.
You know what's funny?
Dance on all of that.
Well, you know what's funny is, like, I tell people I have a 13-way tie for my favorite team in the ACC, and then there's Miami.
That's fair. Yeah, you don't like to pick Miami, so this is kind of crazy for you. You hate the English M. You hate everything about them. You hate the Miami Maniac. You don't even like milkshakes.
I didn't hate the Maniac. I was not prepared for what I was about to see.
Yeah, but man, I really want to pick Miami, but I don't know if we can both pick Miami, because then that ruins it. So I'll go back to Clemson to
Yeah,
Trevor,
if you
to
pick Miami,
Cole,
if you
to
pick my
Warren, to I'm trying to think who else approached me or mentioned to me. There are a couple other people I'm forgetting. To that Tiger Paw 3 something was his name. He DM'd me. Basically, that's actually not the worst thing to put on the board there, Jake. But to all those people that approached me to ask me if I still have Louisville winning the pool after they lost to Miami yesterday, I'm picking Clemson. Okay, you win. I hope my curse that I seem to be putting on teams works super well for you.
Did you respond to them and tell them that Louisville mathematically cannot, so that you don't think that anymore?
No, I say I still am picking Louisville just to kind of be a but
yeah.
You know, here's my kiss of death, Clemson. Enjoy it. But all right, Pitt, North Carolina. I'm going North Carolina. You convinced me that they're gonna still have everything they need, and not that Pitt's gonna quit, because they're not. They're a gritty team, similar to what we saw Virginia Tech. They're not just gonna walk away from this. But North Carolina is the better team, so.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I'm not I'm not as confident as I probably should be, but it's going to be North Carolina. I'm going to pick North Carolina. I think they'll get the job done. It's just I know Andrade has been really good recently, and Sokol's got his moments of brilliance. So who knows what Pitt can do? They can definitely play spoiler for no reason. It's not really spoiler because North Carolina losing to Pitt's not going to be a huge deal. But
all right,
we stand Pittsburgh.
I think I know who we're picking because we both picked one of these two teams to win our bracket. NC State, Duke. I'm rolling with the Pack, the hottest team in the conference. Monty, I'm not going to spoil who you're going to pick, so tell everybody the obvious choice for you.
So I will say, in right in this moment, I don't think there's a wrong pick. Obviously, there will be in hindsight because somebody's going to win. But I'm going to take Duke.
I will say, I don't want to cut you off, Monty. It really does frustrate me that this is not a semifinal.
Yeah, it's going to be Duke for me. But I think the same reasons that Duke could win are the same reasons NC State could win. So it's really a toss-up at this point. But we're sticking with our picks for our tournament, and it's going to be a really great game. I'm excited. I'm going to have trouble sleeping tonight thinking about it.
I'm not going to have any trouble sleeping because I'm tired. But
there's nobody snoring nearby.
Also true. Well, I don't know. I do have I have a roommate here tonight as well, so we'll see if my buddy the Citadel man decides he wants to snore all night or not. But Monty, that's all I've got. Obviously, you got to get out of there before they kick you out. I'm surprised they're not dragging you out already. Thank you everybody that's tuned in at midnight to watch this. I will be tomorrow in the morning.
It's true. Yes.
Doing some RPI update stuff for Louisville, for Georgia Tech. Talking about hosting situations for some of these teams. I was going to do it tonight, but I don't see the point in not losing sleep. But Monty, good night. Enjoy wonderful Charlotte. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Jake, thank you for letting everyone know that Monty loves to snore. And, enjoy the beautiful backdrop. Monty, you're the best-looking thing in that picture, though. Don't you worry.
Thank you.
But
after being mean for me all week, he's going to be nice. All right, guys.
Good night. Go ACC.